Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. There was a story shared with me that is out of Africa. One of my viewers shared the story with me and it kind of took me by surprise. I guess because I'm used to hearing stories such as this here in the U.S. But anyway, there is a Ugandan woman who has given birth to 44 children. Okay? She and her husband, after their marriage, she gave birth to twins immediately. And then she had twins again, and then I think there were some triplets and, just a whole bunch of different sets. I want to roll the video of this story for you, and then I'm going to be right back with some things that I wanted to comment about this particular story. So here is the video, and I'll be right back.
It's hard enough being a single mum. It's much harder when you have 38 children. Mariam Nabatanzi, who lives 30 miles outside Uganda's capital, was married at 12 and gave birth to twins a year later. 5 more sets of twins followed, as did 4 sets of triplets and 5 sets of quadruplets. The 39-year-old was abandoned by her husband shortly after giving birth again 2.5 years ago.
Food is not the only problem. It gets difficult when the children fall sick, paying for their studies. I mean, all other basic needs, as you know, but I always try to make ends meet.
That means working in anything from hairdressing to brewing local gin, and all the children chipping in to help with chores. A roster sorts out who's doing what.
We feel good. We do whatever our mother asks us to do, even if it means cooking for the younger ones. The older ones usually help with the work when she's not around. She leaves us to take care of the young ones, and then we put them to sleep.
The children sleep 12 to a room. The lucky ones get bunks or mattresses. Uganda has one of Africa's highest fertility rates, but with 38 children and 6 who passed away, Mariam's ability to conceive is exceptionally rare. She was warned not to take birth control by a doctor due to an issue with her ovaries, but always wanted a large family after a tragic upbringing. Her 5 older siblings were poisoned and killed by their stepmother. Mariam can now say she's given birth to one of the highest numbers of children ever recorded.
Okay, as you saw in the video, after baby number 44, her husband decided to leave. That is the part that kind of took me by surprise. I did not know that that sort of thing was happening in Africa. Okay, I don't live there, so of course I don't hear of everything that's going on in Africa, but I heard of stories where men would leave when the British soldiers were coming in, impregnating their wives, and so the men would leave in cases such as that. But I didn't know that they were just leaving because of a woman or their wives having a lot of children. And so that just kind of bothered me a bit, that even on the continent, that a man would make such a cowardice move. Now, kind of reminds me of a scene. There was a show called Women of Brewster Place. Before they made it a series, the actual first episode or the actual first movie, there was a scene where the man left his wife and child, and he said he had to see his own way clear first before he could take care of a family. And I was a young woman at the time. I was probably maybe 13, 14. Don't quote me on that, but I was a teenager. And I remember feeling some kind of way about that statement with the man saying that he had to see his own way clear first. And so I'm like, how do you get married have a baby and determine after the fact that this isn't what you want to do, that you got to see your own way clear. How do you do that? And so when I saw this story of how this man left his wife after 44 children. Now that is a lot of children, but it is a cowardice move for you to decide, well, you know what, I'm going to leave, walk away from all of this. You handle it by yourself. How is a man like that to be viewed? The Bible says you're worse than an infidel. That's what the Bible said, if you don't take care of your children. And so that is the status that he has. Very cowardice move. Now, I commend the woman on how she's sticking in there. She's doing what she has to for her children. And the older children, I love the way they responded. They said, we have to do this. We have to help our mother. We have to do this. We have to do that. Taking care or attending to the younger ones while mom's doing this, that, or the other. It is really, really important that we as a people understand something. It's very important that we understand that sticking together is the best way. Bailing out is not the best way. And when this man chose that move rather than to stick it out with his wife and children, that really spoke volumes of his heart and mindset. Now, for those of you who would sympathize and say, well, he couldn't do any better and this, that, and the other, what if both parents took that stance? Where does that leave the children? That's what people don't think about when they get to making excuses for people when they do things such as this. Don't make excuses. It is what it is. What he did was wrong. To just wash his hands of the whole thing and not look back was wrong, plain and simple. I really wish that there was something that could be done to help this woman, but I know a lot of people on the continent are in the same situation. They said Uganda. I'm going to talk about something different now as it relates to this whole story. They say Uganda is the most fertile population on the earth. The women of Uganda are the most fertile. Wow. They have the highest birth rates in the world. The highest birth rates in the world. And so that's very interesting. And so I would say to that, be very careful in that area of free vaccines. I would hope that the people of Uganda would be wise and say, why are you so interested in our population? Because when you have high birth rates, you can best believe that there's someone who believes that they're having too many babies and that they need to do something about it. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I would hope that there are not too many Western missions in Uganda, those who think that they are supposed to come and control the population, because the seed over there is apparently blessed. You have fertile territory in those women. That's a blessing. Now, some of you may not agree with that. You'll say, well, how is it a blessing if they can't take care of them? Well, we know that there have been curses dropped on the populations of Israelites worldwide. But in a normal sense, if the curses were lifted, those women are indeed blessed. If you minus the curses, you take all of that away, to be able to produce that many children, those many twins, multiple births. I mean, she had twins and twins and twins and triplets. That is amazing. That is amazing. And so something can be said for that. That is a blessing. And when the curses are lifted, you will see just how much of a blessing that is. They said she is the first on record, recorded history of having been that fertile. Now, a lot of you may not understand why that is a blessing. because you think having that many children isn't a good idea, but it is indeed a blessing. And a lot of you, whenever I do videos where I'm talking about Africa, a lot of you here in America, in the U.S., you're always saying, well, they're not all our people. They're not this and they're not that. What you don't understand is more Israelites left in Africa than where you are right now. That's what a lot of you don't understand. Don't think that we don't know that there are some children of Ham there, but if you look at the Whited Out series, the children of Ham are easily identified. The problem is many of you think just because someone is doing bad deeds, that's how you determine if they're Ham. Well, that's basically trying to say that you believe that we are all righteous people. You don't determine someone's bloodline by the bad deeds, because then that would make us, well, what would that make us? Because we are here in the land of our captivity, not because we were good, not because we were so righteous and holy, but because we angered the Most High. That is why we are in the land of our captivity. And so think about that before you start trying to pin every bad African as a Hamite, when a lot of them, many of them, especially the ones that we're speaking about, are indeed our people. The cultures of the children of Ham are very different than ours, some of which we talked about in the Whited Out series. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. I just wanted to talk about this story that was shared with me by one of my viewers. I thought it was very interesting how even on the continent you have men who cut and run from the responsibility of children. When the going gets tough, they get going. Worse than an infidel. I just hope that this trend will stop. It has been prophesied to stop at some point, so it will, but we have to wait patiently for that. But in the meantime, I want to say to you all that just because the curses have been befallen us as a people don't mean that we have to cleave to them. It doesn't mean that we have to say, well, the curses said we would do this, that, and the other, so that's why I'm going to do this, that, and the other. That's not how we are to live. We have to walk as upright as we can, as righteously as we can, and not try to make excuses for sin and failure. All right, family, with that, I'll say shalom. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.